our recording. Muy bien y muy buenos días. Y sí, feliz Día de los Enamorados, feliz Día de San Valentín. Es el 14 de febrero. Wow, ya estamos en febrero. Already we're in February. Vamos a hablar un poquito del vídeo de el ejercicio de escucha y vamos a tener algo con práctica con quedar, que vale la pena. You know, this came up as a lot of our questions come up on the fly from just using various things. What do we do about that verb quedar? So we're going to talk about that verb quedar and some different things that it does. And actually, this was helpful because it spurred me to look up one of those easy rules, but we'll talk about that later. Eso un poquito más tarde. Ahorita vamos a ver si ustedes tienen preguntas. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? ¿Hay algo que de este video que ustedes no entendieron? Is there anything from the video that puzzled you or you didn't quite get what she was talking about that you need some help with? Antes de practicar con las preguntas.
Tengo una pregunta.
Sí, I think Mark had one first and then Lori will come to you, okay?
I just had a silly comment. I just wish that she learned that at the end of sentences, one takes a breath.
Sí. Sí.
Sí. Bueno, ella es muy joven, tiene como 25 años, algo, sí. Yeah, and she actually she talks in normal cadence for, you know, sometimes split sentences, sometimes doesn't quite finish sentences. Yeah, she kind of goes, she kind of rattles off a bit. Sí, bien. Y Lori, ¿tienes pregunta?
So, a las 12:39.
Oh, okay.
Where she says, no me sabía rico. So is that, I would think that it's like to taste.
Sí,
It tastes good, but saber is to know. So,
I
couldn't find a verb for that.
They're actually considered two separate verbs. Well, they are, even though they're spelled exactly the same. But yeah, there's a saber that we all know about, to know information or to know how to do something. Yeah, that saber, which is, you know, yo sé, no lo sé, sí lo sé, sabemos, you know, sabemos cocinar, we know how to cook. O, por ejemplo, con información, no sé cuál es su nombre. I don't know what his or her name is, but there's also a different verb, saber, which means to taste stuff. No me sabe bien, it doesn't taste good to me. Sí, eso. So there is a different saber, and it talks about how we perceive flavor, but it's spelled exactly the same. I know, it's strange. Yeah.
Okay.
But you know what? That's never taught. That verb is never taught as, oh, you have to be able to distinguish between that, because the saber that we usually use is the to know verb. And, you know, versus how many times you use the verb about something tastes a certain way. There's kind of no contest. So yeah, it doesn't get mentioned very much. Buena pregunta, good question.
Madeline, on the verb probar, which also is to taste, but that's the act of tasting as opposed to how good or bad something tastes.
Eso, sí. Yeah, that saber talks about the way we perceive a flavor. Okay, but probar, now that verb you will hear a lot because probar means to try out something. To taste as in you have a little bite of it. Okay, so this tastes bad is a different verb, saber, as opposed to, oh, I'd like a taste of that hors d'oeuvre. I'm curious, what is that like? Yeah. Quiero probar la especialidad. I want to try the specialty. So probar means to try something out by tasting it. Probar also, as probarse, a reflexive is probarse, it becomes the try on, as in the clothing verb. So try is try or taste goes into different kinds of verbs in Spanish. Sí, exacto. Sí, Bárbara.
Oh, sí. Tengo una pregunta. Cuando ella habla de la ternera, es
Oh,
sí, es un tipo de carne, pero solamente es carne de steak, o ¿cuál es la diferencia entre la ternera y carne curada? Son dos
okay. Carne curada es como cured.
cured. Okay.
Cured, okay. Cured, aged.
Sí.
Eso, sí. Pero ternera, formalmente tenemos, sí, steak o a veces veal, que
Sí,
es otra cosa.
es otra cosa, ¿no?
Es otra cosa, sí.
Porque-
Veal
sí,
es una vaca muy joven, ¿sí? Cuando comemos la carne de una vaca muy joven. Ah, ah, bueno, veal aquí en Estados Unidos no es algo muy popular, pero se usa a veces ternera para steak en general. Ah, 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 Aunque se dice también carne de res. If you look at a restaurant menu, very frequently steak will be called bistec. And I think especially on this side of the pond, she's in Spain and their ternera is a more steaky kind of term. Here on our side of the pond, you would hear things like bistec for steak, more than ternera or carne de res. Carne de res, and res is just R-E-S. So on a menu, carne de res will mean beef type meals.
Ok, muy bien, porque en los Estados Unidos hay una distinción entre
Eso,
carne
sí,
y veal, y me confundí si una persona está en España y quiere pedir carne, es posible que la persona no sabe si es veal
sí.
o carne. El- sí.
Sí, yo también tenía que buscar un poquito porque yo siempre entendía la palabra ternera como veal y veal es algo muy diferente a bistec aquí, pero creo que se refiere más a steak en España. Aquí en Latinoamérica es más común ver algo en un menú, en un restaurante, por ejemplo, con carne de res o bistec.
Sí, muy
Ah,
bien.
sí, creo que es algo regional.
Ajá.
Pero la carne curada es ya otra cosa. That's, another thing, yet not really steak related, right? Cured meat, carne curada es algo diferente. Okay.
Y bien, y en mi opinión, ella está enamorada con el novio,
Oh,
porque ella habla español muy bien, ¿no? Para
sí. Hace
Una-
5 años hace 5 años que vive en España, y es de Texas originalmente. Ah, pero, pero sí, y tiene un novio de España y ella nos dijo en algún vídeo que se fue a Galicia para la Navidad. Entonces creo que los padres o algunos miembros de la familia de su novio viven en Galicia, que es el noroeste no está cerca de Madrid, es el noroeste de España. Así que sí, vive totalmente en la cultura de España. Eso es.
Disculpa, una pregunta más de la comida. Cuando ella dice mariscos, ¿es todos los mariscos son como una, you know, es bogavante, almeja, es
Ah,
todos
sí, marisco es un término muy general. Seafood.
okay,
Seafood. And we have that mar part of marisco.
okay.
Marisco es algo que viene del mar, ¿sí? La carne que viene del mar. Ah, todo tipo de pescado, todo tipo de pescado, especialmente como shellfish. Marisco es un poquito más específico. Marisco is a little more like we would have shellfish. Or sea, but we use sometimes shellfish and seafood interchangeably in our country. So when you go in and you see a menu, en un menú muy típico, por ejemplo, en un menú muy típico, hay categorías de comidas en el menú. Y una categoría sería mariscos. Una categoría, por ejemplo, pescado, like straight fish, ¿sí? Una categoría de carne de res, beef. Una categoría de aves, A, B chica, E, S, aves, birds, poultry of some kind, poultry, ¿sí? Entonces, los términos en un menú serían como aves o pollo, pero aves, carne de res, marisco, pescado, así. Bien. So, often you look at the big categories of foods and yeah. And they'll be different really in every region that you go to in Spanish speaking countries. They won't all be because it's highly dependent on where you live. When you go to Spain, you do get a ton more seafood, even than a lot of parts of Mexico. But even in Mexico, it depends. If it's close to the ocean, of course, you're going to get a lot of seafood. So depende mucho. Depende mucho de la región, si la región está cerca del mar. Depende, por ejemplo, en Argentina, el carne de res es algo muy importante, es un producto oficial del país. Entonces hay gran variedad de comida entre todos los países hispanohablantes. Eso sí. Ok, a ver, otras preguntas. ¿O no? Adelante. Oh, sí, Carrie.
Just a couple comments. She had that nice, I don't know, kind of a softer speaking. Is that Spanish? Like kind of the
Yeah.
da.
Ta.
She's
Gracias.
yeah.
Gracias. Sí,
Yeah.
se dice. ¿Cómo se dice? Yeah, she's got that softer thing because she's in Madrid. Now, if you go down to the southern part of Spain, they do not do the como se dice. It's como se dice. They go to that S sound that we're accustomed to. It's called ceseo. And all of Latin America uses ceseo because, según se dice, according to how they say it, many people from Andalusia, that southern part, that uses the ceseo, the se dice, as opposed to se dice. A lot of people from Andalusia came over to populate the New World, and that dialect difference just rooted in and became the norm, according to what I have heard. That is what they seem to say. So yeah, she does have that softer accent for sure. So you notice it with the little ese things. I used to get penalized for it when I went to school because mi profe no le gustaba que yo diría, por ejemplo, gracias. Gracias. No, es gracias. Gracias. Pero en Estados Unidos no aprendemos ese dialecto. No es lo común. Entonces, yo tengo que pensar un poquito en algunas palabras, si hay una del acento de España. Bien, bueno.
La palabra aceitunas
Sí, sí.
significa olivia, ¿sí?
Yo siempre uso aceitunas, sí, aceitunas. Bien. Ok. Yo tengo ahora una pregunta para ustedes. ¿Les ayudó ver el vocabulario aquí? Did it help you to see the vocabulary here?
Sí.
These are things that I thought typically, okay, you may not catch what that is, and you may have to furiously look. So I wanted to make sure you knew these. Aceitunas, I kind of wavered on whether that went. Pero sí, olivas no. Olivos con O, por lo general es el árbol donde crece, ¿sí? A lot of times, some of the, and I don't think this is a definite, like a blanket 100% rule, but like manzana is the apple, but manzano would be an apple tree, manzano. And yeah, so olivos is generally the tree that these come off. So I never really see it listed as olivas, but aceitunas, see? And notice that the quedar came up. Yeah, quedar came up as a real little blip with her not stopping between breaths. Her frantically saying that, oh, I'm going to meet up with somebody. And that was a little blip right at the beginning. And I was like, she popped it up right at the beginning. Okay. And that word sabor is what is related to that verb saber that Lori asked about. Sabor is the noun taste. Por ejemplo, el sabor, no me gusta el sabor de este vino. I don't like the taste of this wine. El sabor es sustantivo. There's the noun, but saber is for something to taste, as in it has a certain kind of flavor. ¿Sí? Bien. Vale. Bueno. Quiero empezar aquí con la primera pregunta, todos juntos. I want to start with this question number 1 with everybody all together. And then I want to be able to send you into some smaller groups to talk about the other questions on this list. Okay, sí. Pero vamos a empezar aquí. ¿Cuáles son las cosas que Rachel no comía en Estados Unidos, pero sí come mucho en España? What are some of those things that she eats a lot? Not that she never had them, but never had them in that way that they're presented here. ¿Cuáles son? Aceitunas, ¿sí? Aceitunas. Sí, Kathleen.
Pan, el pan.
El pan, sí. Ella tiene el video famoso del pan, el pan puro de las panaderías. ¿Qué más?
Arroz.
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 Sí.
Ella dice arroz.
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 Mm.
La Z, that Z always makes the th sound. Arroz. Arroz, arroz. Aquí, arroz. Bueno, ¿qué más?
Cerveza.
Cerveza.
Sí, en
Bueno.
los Estados Unidos es el sabor de pis.
Ah, sí. Sí, bueno, la cerveza sí es muy popular en muchos países. Es popular también en México. Hay palabras pequeñas. There are little words that are often used for a beer that will differ from one country to another, though. So in Spain, often they talk about caña. Quiero una caña. I'd like a beer. But caña will be like a beer about that tall. It's like a small glass of beer, una caña. And that's what you'll typically have when you go out with friends, late afternoon kind of thing. Okay. But of course there are different words for beers. I think I have did I put them in? Sí o no?
Sí,
Eso.
caña.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. A ver. Bueno, aceitunas, pan, arroz, cerveza, ¿qué más?
Tomates.
Tomates. Y creo que es que se sirven los tomates en una manera que no comemos los tomates así aquí en Estados Unidos. No es que ella nunca comía tomates, claro, pero la forma de servir los tomates es otra cosa en España. Ok, ¿algo más?
Jugo fresco. Fresco.
¿Perdón?
Jugo fresco.
Oh, jugo, sí, sí. Jugo zumo. Ok. Otra vez, hay dos términos, ¿sí? En España se dice zumo, zumo, pero en Latinoamérica no se usa nunca, nunca, nunca la palabra zumo. Siempre es jugo, jugo. Ok, vale. Otra cosa, ¿o no?
Calamares. Calamares. Calamares.
Calamares, sí, calamares y sí, marisco. Esto de mariscos, sí, calamares y todos los tipos de mariscos. And there are many, many different kinds of shellfish, and a lot of these shellfish are, things that you would struggle even to find them in a grocery store here because we just don't have access to them, right? I mean, where we live is not conducive to bringing in lots of shell. Yes, you can buy them, but they're hideously expensive. Okay.
Carne curada. Está cold cuts.
Un poquito. Carne curada es más como un tipo de carne, sí, cured, como salami,
Cold cut.
como pepperoni,
Okay.
es una carne curada.
Sí.
Sí, algunos tipos de jamones, sí, el jamón a veces es curado, cured hams, sí,
Sí.
se refiere al proceso de, sí, el proceso, la manera de procesar, de crear este tipo de carne, sí.
Chorizo.
Chorizo sería así como una carne curada. Sí, sí. Bien. Ok. ¿Algo más o no?
Ella come más ternera en España.
Sí, más ternera en España. Y aquí ella refiere más a la idea de bistec.
Sí.
Bistec, sí. Con la palabra ternera, que no es necesariamente veal estrictamente. Pero sí, un bistec. Ok. Y bueno, es la mayoría de las cosas aquí. Bueno, ahorita quiero que ustedes hablen un poquito. I think we're going to break these down a little bit. Let's take these three first and then come on back. Las tres, pero número 2, 3, 4. 2, 3 y 4. Sí, 2, 3 y 4. Aquí, ¿cuáles comidas en la lista de Rachel te sorprendieron? ¿Te sorprendieron? Surprised you? Sí. Hay comida que tú comes más aquí en Arizona, pero no comía en la ciudad donde naciste. Is there stuff you eat here that you didn't eat where you were born? Okay. ¿Y cuáles son las cosas que comías en tu niñez, pero no comes ahora? What are the things that you used to eat as a kid, but you don't eat here? ¿Sí? Hay una comida típica de tu ciudad natal. Is there some kind of typical food in the city where you were born? Ciudad natal, your native city, the city where you were born or the place you grew up, because most of us haven't grown up here. ¿Tenemos alguien que sí creció aquí? Do we have anybody who actually grew up here? I had one class of 20 people where literally 2 people had grown up in Arizona all their lives, and everybody was floored because we live in a place where it's like everybody is from somewhere else. Yeah.
Nací aquí en Arizona.
Que- ah,
Nací
Nací.
en
Oh,
Arizona. Sí,
nací, I was born.
I was born, sí, en
Sí.
Arizona. Sí.
Sí. Bien. Ok. No es muy común, not very common to get a native born Arizonan. Bien. Bueno, entonces, número 2, 3 y 4. ¿Qué creen ustedes? 7 minutos, 7 minutes? ¿Son suficientes? ¿Sí? Ok, vale. Bueno, and I will send the questions out in the room to you. A ver, momentito. I just want to make sure that we've got everybody split up properly. Eso es, ok. Y busco aquí el botón de share. Hopefully I don't have any problem with that. Aquí, bien. Bueno. Y tengo que poner mi cronómetro. La alarma no. El cronómetro, sí. El cronómetro nos dice 7 minutos. Y van a ver. Me sorprendió un poquito que ella habló de aceitunas y también de tomates. No me sorprendió que ella habló del pan, porque el pan sí es como pan artesanal aquí en Estados Unidos. Pero sí, tomates y aceitunas, eso me sorprendió un poquito. Sufro de alergias hoy. Ay. Ok. A ver. Vale. Vale, bueno, aquí vienen todos. Sí. Ah, vale. hay algunas cosas interesantes de sus conversaciones, por ejemplo, ¿o no?
I had one question which maybe you can comment on here. So in number 4 about food that used to eat essentially, but maybe not so much now. From New York. In English, corned beef. In español, carne en conserva.
Sí. Hay mucha comida que de aquí que no es muy común en otros países. Así que a veces sí, yo tengo que buscar el término. If you went to Spain or Mexico, you would never find this kind of food. And, okay, por ejemplo, sí, en este concepto, sí, el pan de centeno es rye bread. Donde yo nací, el pan de centeno es algo que se comía todos los días, todo el tiempo, ¿sí? Donde crecí yo, where I grew up. ¿Sí? Porque había mucha gente de Polonia y el pan de centeno es algo común, es el pan principal de la gente. Rye bread, sí, siempre. Aquí es difícil buscar pan de centeno, ¿no? Y todos saben lo que es. En España, pan de centeno, ¿dónde? Nunca no lo he visto. I have not seen it there. Pero sí, muchas veces hay cosas que, sí, por ejemplo, corned beef. Y cuando busco eso, sí, carne curada, cured meat, yeah, preserved meat. Carne encurtida. Encurtida también es como cured, encurtida. Encurtida kind of says it's been dried out to a certain extent. That's part of the curing process. No conozco muchos, pero sí. Hay muchas comidas donde usamos quizás en los términos en inglés porque no es algo muy común en esos países. Sometimes you just have to go with the term just because it may not be common someplace else. Y ya está. Como chucrut también, chucrut, sauerkraut, chucrut, no es común en España, ¿sí? Chucrut, pero donde crecí yo, chucrut, bien, sí, cada semana por lo menos una comida con chucrut. Siempre, siempre. Pero es algo de la gente que vivía en mi ciudad, nada más. Bueno, ¿hay más que quieren decirnos o no? ¿No? ¿Bien?
No.
Ok. Muchas veces creo que aquí en Estados Unidos es común que hay una región que tiene una comida típica que no existe en la misma forma en otras regiones. Por ejemplo, si tú creciste en Filadelfia, ¿sí? El sándwich famoso, ¿sí? Un Philly, un sub, un hoagie, algo es específico en esa ciudad de Filadelfia y no existe, sí tenemos una forma de un Philly hoagie, Philly sub, pero aquí en Arizona, pero no es igual, no es lo mismo exactamente, ¿sí? Bien. O por ejemplo, el pizza o la pizza de Nueva York, New York Pizza.
Sí.
Es algo específico. Sí, Marcos dice que sí. y a la gente de Nueva York no le gusta la pizza de Chicago. No,
No,
es,
es.
es algo horrible para ellos. Ah, ok, a ver. Pero también aquí en el suroeste estamos muy acostumbrados a la comida mexicana.
Sí.
Sí, la comida mexicana es tan fácil, está en cada ciudad, todo el mundo come comida mexicana y en los años 80, cuando iba a Nueva York para trabajar con una compañía, am, yo no veía muchos restaurantes mexicanos, pero muchos restaurantes mexicanos, pero ahora sí existen.
Sí.
Y las cosas cambian, ¿sí? Things do change. Ok. ¿Algo más de una comida que comes aquí o que comías en otro lugar o no? ¿Ningún comentario? Ok. Vale. Vamos a terminar con ah, otra conversación de las últimas dos preguntas, ¿sí? ¿Qué comida es para ti algo lujosa? What's a luxury thing? She talked about a lot of these items she hadn't been being a luxury, mariscos being one of them, or ternera, un bistec. ¿Qué comida es para ti algo lujosa? Que no la comes con frecuencia por su alto precio, ¿sí? Porque es muy caro, algo muy caro. Y la última, ¿qué comida probaste? What food did you try out? Y aquí es probar como try out, tasted, to try something, not just the flavor of something, but you tasted, probaste. And the yo form will be probé, I tried. ¿Sí? ¿Qué comida probaste durante tus viajes a otros países que no existe aquí en Estados Unidos? O sea que es muy diferente aquí en nuestro país, something that's really, really different in our country. ¿Ok? ¿Vale? Bien. Y voy a mandar o enviar and I'll send you out to your breakout rooms for this, and I'll send out the 2 questions for you as well. Eso también. Aquí. Share. Bien. Y todos ahora sí tienen. Okay, solamente 5 minutos. I think we're only gonna go with the 5-minute version for this because we only have 2 questions. Creo que voy a darles 1 minuto más. Vale, bien. Y vamos a ver cuáles son sus ideas después de regresar al grupo principal aquí. Muy bien. Y aquí vienen todos. Here comes everybody. Bueno. Quiero saber especialmente, ¿hay alguna comida que probaste en otro lugar que no existe aquí?
Mm.
¿Nada? ¿Nada?
Well,
Ah.
en el Caribe se sirve pescado en el desayuno, pero no aquí,
Oh,
no
sí,
aquí.
eso no es muy común, ¿sí? Y cuando ella nos dijo, Rachel, de tomates, hay una cosita que yo quiero decirles a ustedes. Es muy común tener el tomate rallado, grated. Es
Oh,
muy común tener el tomate rallado en pan tostado para el desayuno en España. En
ah,
España, un desayuno muy típico es pan tostado con tomate rallado, grated tomato, encima.
Sí.
Es algo que hay gente que comen tomate rallado todos los días en pan tostado, es casi siempre. Y la otra cosa de las aceitunas, hay muchas variedades de aceitunas, ¿sí? Aquí a veces si vas al deli, ¿no? Con un antipasto, ¿sí? Ese término italiano, antipasto. ah, Pueden tomar varios tipos de aceitunas, pero es muy común tomar aceitunas, por ejemplo, en un bar.
ah,
Si vas a las 6 o a las 7 de la noche al bar para una cerveza con sus amigos, siempre se sirven aceitunas, pero hay gran variedad. Hay muchos tipos de aceitunas en España, ¿sí? Am, es como servir como a cacahuetes, peanuts en el bar. Es
sí.
como tomar aceitunas en el bar
Deja ver.
en España, ¿sí? Es tan común. Ok, a ver. Ah,
Una pregunta, ¿es tuna también la palabra para un tipo de pescado?
oh, tuna,
Sí, porque sí,
atún es tuna, atún. Atún.
atún. Oh,
A-T-U con acento y N, atún. ¿Sí?
atún.
Hay una palabra tuna que no es el pescado. There is a tuna word in Spain that is not anything related to fish. Tuna is often a group of, oh, I want to say a cappella, but that's not quite right. Young men in a group who sing at restaurants or for events,
Ah,
like university groups. Like there are a lot of university groups who do and it's not always a cappella because they'll play a few instruments here and there. But tuna is a group of young men who sing like in medieval garb. Yeah, it's and there are like clubs that do this in competitions, and there are groups of young men who like, earn their college money doing that in restaurants, stuff like that. You can hire them out to sing for your sweetie on her birthday or before you propose. If you're a guy, they might send a tuna. So that's not the same kind of tuna that we know. Atún, atún. We put the A in front of the tuna.
okay.
Atún, and we cut the A off at the end. Atún, atún, tuna. There's the fish that you eat. Okay.
Okay.
Sí.
Oh,
A ver, hablar de comidas que nos sorprenden, talking about foods that surprise us. Me sorprendió, por ejemplo, que en Montreal, en Canadá, los restaurantes con barbacoa son
Ah.
muy populares.
Oh,
Muy populares. Es una especialidad en Montreal. A muchísimos restaurantes con barbacoa y son excelentes,
mm.
pero es algo muy popular allá.
Hmm.
Sí. Bueno. Ahorita. Siguiente. I want to take our time to tackle. Oh, es perfecto. This is just perfect. I want to take our time to tackle this issue of quedar, because quedar came up as a question last week. Y estaba pensando, ay, sí, eso, sí, es buena pregunta. El verbo quedar. Y hice investigaciones. I've seen many videos come up about quedar. But this was something, actually, it's been out for a couple of years. I'm surprised I never saw it before, but this is the kind of thing, and I do want to show this to you. Vale la pena, and we're going to do some practice with this afterwards. This is one of the things I love. 80-20 guide. 80% of the time, you're going to use just this 20%. So that tells you that if this is only 20%, there's like way more. This is like the tip of the iceberg thing. Yeah. Quedar. So the typical video you see about quedar is, I'm going to show you 12 uses for quedar. Now, are you going to remember every single one of those 12 uses? Creo que no, I think
No.
not. Or it te cuesta. It's hard for you, right? Yeah. But it is kind of literally typical to say, wow, you could have like 12 or more uses of quedar. Quedar is used in a lot of specific situations, and it'll just get thrown out there all the time. And so what is special and different about is he says, here are the things you're going to hear like people throw out all the time. Not the obscure uses, but things that you'll hear people use every day in just regular chit chat. And then we're going to see if we can apply some of that a little bit later. And I don't think I need subtitles.
In this video, we're
Perdón. I don't think I turned on the sound. Oh, sí. Momentito. Oh, sí, tengo el sonido. Okay, vale.
to explore one of the most common and versatile verbs in Spanish, quedar. I'm Rob from Spanish Obsessed, and we produce courses, podcasts, and live classes to help you with your Spanish, whatever your level.
Y su esposa es colombiana. Entonces, la mujer que ustedes van a ver y la mujer que van a escuchar es su esposa, que ella es colombiana, no es de España.
Also be joined by Liz, who help us out with her beautiful Colombian Spanish. Quedar. Quedar is a very common verb, but it can be a tricky one for us learners. It seems to pop up everywhere and is
It pops up everywhere. And this is why we had a question come up, because you hear it all the
used
time.
in all sorts of weird and wonderful ways. It's used a ton in everyday conversation. With so many different uses, I sometimes feel you could basically substitute any Spanish verb with quedar and it will probably still work. For us as learners, it's good to get familiar with quedar, as it's one of the verbs that we can use to make our Spanish sound more natural and less like translated English. Quedar comes from the Latin quietare. Now, I never took Latin.
And this is why I found this interesting, because when you look up quedar, it gets a very specific meaning. But this kind of goes to the root of why quedar winds up like a lot of its uses that branch out from the original meaning are actually kind of rooted in this one word that you see on the screen, which was a Latin word. Okay, so I'm going to back it up just a little bit. It is kind of helpful to know, because if you know the root it comes from, you understand that quedar is used in a lot of different ways, but why it branches out and sends root like a little weed everywhere to mean different things is because of this root it comes
in
from.
quietare. Now, I never took Latin at school, so I've got no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. Quietare means to rest. It's also where our English
To rest. That sure doesn't look like descansar that you know, right? Descansar, to rest. But this quedar, I think, is like the rest of you let dough rest or say, oh, it's kind of like the leftover or what's just out there kind of meaning for rest.
word quiet comes from. The main, if you like, original meaning of quedar is to remain. And
that's the original definition that you first see when you look at a dictionary, to remain. But you know, we don't really use remain very much in English. Oh, math, a remainder. Yeah. Nobody looks at a half full box of cereal and say, not much of the cereal remains here. Nobody says that. You know what it means, but nobody says it that way. But you know what? Literally, this is used a lot that way in Spanish. So this idea of remain bleeds out into all the different little uses, which are all going to have little tweaks and twists with Spanish.
remembering this is going to really help us draw a line between all of those different meanings that we're going to explore of quedar. So let's jump into the most common uses of quedar. Listen to these phrases from Liz.
Solo me queda un huevo. No.
Solo me queda un huevo. Solo me queda un huevo. And that queda is not conjugated for yo, but the me is talking about, yeah. Solo me queda un huevo.
Only one egg remains.
Sí.
No nos queda nada.
This is the
No, or no nos queda nada. No nos queda nada.
meaning remain for quedar. And actually, this is the first thing that stumps Spanish learners. Quedar here is being used as a reverse construction verb. So what does that mean? Whereas in English, we would say, I've only got one egg left. In Spanish, it's the other way around. They say, only one egg remains to me.
And people may drop that me word, may, but they probably won't, but they may. Queda un huevo. Me queda un huevo is just making it specific. I've only got that. Left. What happens if you look up the word left in English? Yeah, you get a, like right versus left. You get left over. And this is the idea of quedar with like left. Something is left,
Sí.
right? We don't say remains. I've only got half a box of cereal left.
Sí.
Yeah, we use the word left a lot. And the me just tells who that's happening to. That's all. Yeah. I could take out that word me and plug in the word nos instead. We've only got a half a box of cereal left. Yeah. But nobody's going to say in English is a half a box of cereal remains to us, but that's the way they construct that. Yeah. They don't have the idea of left. That's what the job of quedar is in these examples.
So it's the other way around, just like me gusta, if you know about that.
Yeah, this
In
is
the
like me
phrase,
gusta.
Solo me queda un huevo, the subject here is huevo. Basically, that means that we conjugate quedar based on huevo.
Right. You conjugate it on whatever food thing you're talking about. And it might not be food. It could be, you know, anything you've got left over, you know, parts, you're building something, you're constructing something. And you know how they give you the little bag with like 15 screws and you got to, you know, hey, how many screws do I have left? So I know if I have got enough to put this chair or bookshelf or whatever together. Yeah, so this is a verb that that in this case, in this way of using quedar, we're using it like we used gustar.
Un huevo. So bearing that in mind, how would you say I've got 2 eggs left?
Ah, I've got 2 eggs left.
Solo. That be me quedan.
Me
So-
quedan dos
Me quedan.
huevos. Me quedan dos
Me quedan.
huevos.
Ah, something has to happen with queda if you're talking about huevos, more than one, just like with gustar, see? Me gustan los huevos. Me gustan los huevos. I like eggs.
Me quedan 2 huevos.
Next use
Me quedan dos huevos, and it has to become quedan because now you're talking about huevos, more than one.
of
Okay.
quedar.
¿Dónde queda?
Ah, here's a different use of quedar. Different, not the same as that first one. ¿Dónde queda?
Oh, don't count it.
This is the same thing as asking ¿dónde está?
Really?
But you generally don't use it with people. Use it to talk about a place or an item. You can use it for an item too. And this is something that is used a lot. Everybody has thought ¿dónde está? But then of course somebody throws you a great big curveball when you go up to somebody and you know, ¿dónde están correos? Ah, queda allá, la, 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 la. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, they switch and use the other verb. This queda thing is a very popular substitute for estar when you're talking about items or a location of like a place, a physical building, but not people, usually.
Queda cerca
don't
de la
think-
casa.
So this is the meaning of to be located. And actually it's underused by us Spanish learners a lot, which is why I've included it really high up in this list. I'm a big fan of using quedar for location. Yeah,
And this, it really is very, very popular when you ask for directions for people to come back and use quedar to tell you where something is located. And again, it goes back to that idea of quedar meaning to rest, because if a building is located somewhere, it's just out there. That's where it is, right? It goes back to the idea of rest, remain.
yes, honestly. However, as a rule of thumb, only use this with objects and places, not with people, because as you'll see, when you use quedar in that way with people, it actually changes the meaning.
Yes. So, okay. Yes, use it to talk about a building or objects, but not people. Okay, so don't use quedar for location if you're talking about people, you know. Like my husband is at the store. Because quedar does change when we conjugate it for a human being, and it'll mean different things, and he'll show you some of those later.
So, how could you say, where's the car?
Where's the car?
¿Dónde queda el carro?
¿Dónde queda el carro? El carro, sí. Vale, sí, bien. It's an object, so we can use it with that.
Use number 3 of quedar. Listen to these phrases.
Quedamos a las 8. ¿Dónde quedamos mañana?
And now it's not queda or quedan, but it's conjugated for a human being. Oh, and it's a group. It's a quedamos. Quedamos a las 8. ¿Dónde quedamos mañana? And look at the translation. It's not remain, or it's not left over, or it's not is located. It means something totally different.
Now, this is just one way to say meet. If you're looking for other ways, then we've got a video linked here for you.
And there are different ways to say meet. The ways for expressing meet will vary according to if you're meeting first time, different verb, conocer, right? Meeting as in it's planned for a group is different versus, oh, bump into somebody. I met so-and-so. I haven't seen them in ages. Like you didn't expect it. They kind of use some different verbs for that. But this is for, you know, something you plan with somebody. Okay. Can be a formal meeting, can be just for fun, kind of meet up.
On to meaning number 4. To suit or to fit.
Ooh, to suit or to fit. This is also very, very common, to suit or to fit. And I would even insert in there a little bit like looks. Something looks a certain way on you. This is used to talk about clothing.
Listen to this phrase from Liz.
Te queda muy bien.
Ah, it suits you very well. That's a little bit formal, I think, for American English, maybe. We would say that fits you very well. Usually, that fits you very well. Meaning, wow, looks good on you. It looks good. Yeah. Te queda muy bien. The opposite would be te queda muy mal. Wow, that fits you very badly. That, yeah, don't buy that. Yeah. Or iron it or do something with it. That's awful. Te queda muy mal.
Here, quedar is
And muy bien might become, because it's clothing, something like te queda grande. It fits you, it's too big. Te queda pequeño. It's too tight, or apretado. It's too tight. Yeah. And it might even just be talking about, if something suits you, meaning, gee, it looks nice on you. Like that color looks good on you. Yeah. That idea of suits, meaning it looks good again.
also used as
Question?
reverse
Oh,
construction
sí.
verb.
So when it's used this way, it's like gustar again.
It's like gustar again.
Okay.
It's definitely like gustar. You won't see this fit verb as a yo or nosotros. It'll be queda. Or if it's something plural, like pantalones, okay, plural, could be quedan, yeah. Or guantes, you get a size of gloves that's too big. Okay, that would be quedan, right? But usually just queda, because most of our clothing items are onesies. There are only a few that fits at twosies. Well, shoes, okay, shoes, quedan, yeah. Shoes would work with quedan.
So those verbs which are just like gustar. And to understand it, this phrase might help you out.
Esa camisa te queda muy bien.
So the subject here, remember, that's the part of the phrase that tells us where we're conjugating or what we're conjugating the verb for, is ese vestido. And it's actually very similar to how we say it in
He
English.
misspoke
We
there.
don't say,
Camisa.
I suit that shirt very well. We say, that shirt suits me very well. And it's the same in Spanish. That's exactly what's happening here. Okay, you try one now. How do you say, it doesn't suit me very well?
Oh, it doesn't suit me very well. We're going to make it negative.
No me queda. No me
No me
queda.
queda.
Queda muy bien.
No me queda muy bien.
No me queda muy bien.
No me queda muy bien, ¿ya? Sí, no me queda muy bien. Sí me queda muy bien. Okay, vale.
If you're a fan of reggaeton or J Balvin, his song Azul uses quedar in the chorus. I'm not going to try and sing it for you. It's kind of hard to hear as well, but the chorus has a line which uses queda a lot in this way of meaning to fit or to suit. And you're just going to have to listen to it and find the lyrics separately. Maybe we'll link it for you as well.
And that lyric is talking about an itty bitty bathing suit. Yeah.
Next use of quedar is when you combine it with other verbs. Love this one. So listen to these phrases.
Quedamos en trabajar juntos.
Ah, quedamos en, followed by an infinitive. Okay, and he's using 80-20 rules, so there are way more uses of quedar. These are just the things that you hear all the time. So this is like when people all agree on doing something, and the thing they're going to do is after the en, in an infinitive form. Quedamos en trabajar juntos, ¿sí? Quedamos en reunirnos. We agreed to get together. Quedamos en, quedamos en estudiar juntos. Sí, quedamos en cocinar con abuelita a las 6. Yeah, we agreed to cook with grandma at 6. Help her out with it. ¿Sí? Okay.
Quedaron en salir a las 8.
Yeah, okay, so settled on, meaning everybody's in agreement. So quedar en means to agree on doing something.
Mm.
Okay, that everybody, okay, we're all in lockstep. We're all going to do this.
So the structure is quedar en plus the verb which is in the infinitive. And that means arrange to do something. Or you could think of it as settle on. So that's something which is very similar, remember, to that original meaning remain, which we looked at. And this is another of those uses of quedar which I think that Spanish learners really underuse. You'll hear native Spanish speakers use quedar in this way so often. So look at how you can incorporate more in your own Spanish and listen out for it as well. Okay, nearly there. To wrap up, the next two uses are with quedarse. So that's the reflexive verb.
And now this is the different use of quedar. It is specifically reflexive. It will be conjugated for yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, ellos, ellas, ustedes, all of those. But it is reflexive. It will need the se pronoun or me. So it'll need me, te, nos, and se. It will not use le. It will not use les. Those are indirects. These are the reflexives, right? So, metenos and se.
Version. And really, these are both the same. Listen to these phrases.
Quédate, no te vayas. No me quiero quedar.
So, to make it easy for you, the best translation of quedarse here is to stay. And that works for the meaning of stay, like don't go, stay here, as well as to stay in a place, like nos quedamos en un hotel. We stayed in a hotel. And when you think about it, that's also very similar to remain, that original meaning of quedar, which we talked about at the start of the video. So those are all of the uses of quedar that we're going to talk about. Now, look in a dictionary, you'll probably find a ton more. There's lots of set expressions and things like that using quedar, but these are the most common ones. And in our opinion, this is what you'll find the most useful. It's like the 80-20 of quedar. If you've enjoyed this video,
Okay, so that's the 80-20 because that means it's a few uses. There are way more uses that you will hear, and I'm going to show you a little. Actually, I'll send you this link, but oh my goodness, look at this cursor. It starts out, of course, some of this is pictures. Look at this page on quedar. Go, that hurts. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff. And there's more than what he told you. This is like beyond. Oh, look. Se quedó con la boca abierta. He was left with his mouth hanging open. Cuando vio a Marta, he was left with his jaw like that. Yeah. There are a lot of uses, and look at all those prepositions. Oh my God, your head's gonna hurt. Your head's gonna hurt. So I'm only gonna send you for that that you can see how complicated it can get and why I settled on it. Here's another one. Actually, if you're a sports person and you watch a lot of sports and you talk about who finished first in a car race, in a running race, in a bike race, it's used for that too. It's used when somebody is left in a certain condition after an accident, or when somebody is left in a certain state, and it could be a mental state, it could be a physical condition. So it's got a lot of meanings, but that 80-20 is a really good one. Entonces, so then, you got to know the context of when we're using quedar. Vale, sí, quedar, and it may or may not have a le here. So I've got some cues here. Vale. Sí, cuando abrimos la nevera, cuando abrimos el refrigerador, por ejemplo, ¿sí? Aquí podemos usar quedar. Uy, a ver. Podemos usar quedar. Por ejemplo, ¿qué se puede decir? What could we say with these? Por ejemplo, ok, yo tengo un ejemplo aquí. Por ejemplo, nos queda poca mayonesa en la nevera. Nos queda poca mayonesa. We've got a little bit of mayonnaise left. O, por ejemplo, se puede usar para algo negativo, una idea negativa, como por ejemplo, no me queda leche. No
Mhm.
me queda leche. I've got no
Milk left.
milk left. O no nos queda leche. We haven't got any milk left. ¿Sí?
Mhm.
Los niños, a los niños no les queda leche. The kids don't have any milk left. Yeah. And we can drop the le if you feel like it, but the le just makes it very personal as to, who you're talking about. Okay.
Nos quedan muchas comidas.
Nos queda mucha comida. We've got a lot of food left. Nos queda mucha comida. Sí, exacto, Jen. Muy bien.
Nos
Muy bien.
quedan muchos manzanas.
Sí, quizás
Pues-
sí, son manzanas, creo que sí, o tomates, no sé.
Tomates.
Sí, nos
Ajá.
quedan muchas manzanas.
Pero nos queda solamente un taza de pickles.
Sí, eso sí, una jarra, una
Para,
jarra de, sí, pepinos, sí, sí,
¿no?
eso sí. Si hablamos del jugo de naranja,
Mhm.
¿qué diríamos del jugo de naranja? ¿Cómo se dice, por ejemplo, we've got a whole bottle of orange juice left?
Me queda una botella de naranja llena.
Jugo de
¿No?
naranja.
Jugo.
Sí, no,
Jugo.
sí,
Sí,
nos
sorry.
queda una botella de jugo de naranja, nos queda una botella entera
Mhm.
de jugo de naranja. Sí, eso. Vale, sí. Ok. O, por ejemplo, si hablamos de una fruta, voy a comer esta banana y ahora hay,
Sí.
Me quedan dos bananas.
me quedan 2 bananas más.
Antes de como un banana.
Sí, después de comer esta banana, nos quedan dos.
Dos.
Nos quedan dos. ¿Sí? Exacto. Okay. To have something left over. Think of left. Yeah. Left over. I should really phrase that as left over because that is really the idea that we often say. You might or might not include that idea of over, left over. Yeah. See? Okay. Vale. Un uso de, si hablamos aquí de esta foto, pero vamos a usar la idea de ubicación, location, ubicación. ¿Sí? Y
¿Dónde queda la Louvre?
sí, es una foto de un museo famoso que se llama el Louvre. ¿Sí? Podemos decir, sí, el museo de Louvre, queda en París, queda en el centro de París, o podemos decir una pirámide queda, ¿sí? Una pirámide queda cerca del Museo de Arte que se llama Louvre, ¿sí? Bien.
Sí.
Locación, pero usamos quedar como exactamente, exactamente como, perdón. Está, está, y está con lugares, with places, con objetos. No usamos quedar con personas. We don't talk with locations of human beings because then we have to conjugate it for that human being. And when we conjugate quedar for the human being, it kind of goes off into those other little definitions potentially, okay, as opposed to just location. So to talk about places, buildings, offices, objects, things like that. Quedar, fácil, easy. So you're always going to hear that as queda or quedan. Sí, Lori.
So would this be an appropriate sentence? ¿En cuál ciudad queda esto edificio?
Sí, sí. O por ejemplo, ¿dónde queda la estación del metro? Where's the subway station? ¿Dónde queda la estación? ¿Sí? ¿Dónde queda la parada del autobús? Where's the bus stop? ¿Dónde queda la parada de autobús? ¿Sí? Where's the bus stop? Parada is a stop. Parada de autobús is a bus stop. ¿Dónde queda la parada de autobús? You know, you're going on a tour bus with a bunch of people someplace. ¿Dónde queda la parada de autobús? Así. Bien. ¿Dónde quedan los taxis? Where are the taxis? You're looking for the taxi stand, right? Where everybody lines up to get you out of the airport. ¿Dónde quedan los taxis? Ok, por ejemplo, ¿sí? Objetos, so objects, places, sí, eso sí. Quedar en might have a bunch of little different prepositions that go along, yeah? If you agree to do something, see? And I should be more specific with this, that you quedan en infinitivo. Quedar en with an infinitivo means to agree on something, but you might hear quedar used with to talk about a time, and think of that as the word at. See? And quedar con means to meet up with people. Let's look at quedar con. ¿Cómo se dice? We met up with our friends at the cafe. We met up to hang out with people. That's what this is used for. And we're going to use it with con. Because the emphasis is who we're with. That's why. Why are we pairing this up with con? Because we're talking about the people that we're getting together with. Okay. Entonces, si hablamos de esta foto aquí, we met up with our friends.
Quedamos con nuestros amigos.
Que quedamos con nuestros amigos enfrente del café. O quedamos con, sí, es un café, no me parece como restaurante, pero sí un café. Quedamos con nuestros amigos enfrente del café. ¿Sí? Meet up with. ¿Sí? Meet up with so that you're going to hang out with people. Okay. And the con is there because you're really emphasizing who you're getting together with. Yeah, that's why we've got the with, the con. Bien. But if you just agree to work together, ¿sí? Quedamos en trabajar en la oficina el viernes. Quedamos en trabajar juntos en la oficina el viernes. Or you might just hear people saying, quedamos en viernes. We agreed on Friday. They might use if they talk about the hour. Okay, bien. Y un ejemplo antes de, we'll pick up with what we have left over. Here's our quedar, which is a lot, again, like gustar. ¿Sí? ¿Cómo se dice? Por ejemplo, the suit fits him well. Suit on the left, a la izquierda. The suit on the left fits him well. El traje.
El traje de la izquierda.
Fits him.
Le queda muy bien.
Le queda muy bien. El traje a la izquierda, the one on the left, ¿sí? El traje a la izquierda le queda muy bien. ¿Sí? El traje a la derecha, on the right, a la derecha, le queda pequeño, le queda apretado, ¿sí? Un poquito apretado, un poquito pequeño. ¿Sí? ¿Eso? ¿Bien? Ok. ¿Es un poquito mejor con quedar? A little bit better with quedar?
Sí.
¿Sí? Okay, vale. And again, and I'll send you the link for this queda video because you may want to see it one more time. It's useful because there are so many, but some uses are more common than others, and we'll talk a little bit about quedarse. We'll kind of just finish up with quedar a little bit with the rest of these photos, but vale, bien. You won't know all of them, but you want to know the ones that you will hear the most. The ones you will hear the most. I am still deciding between a couple of videos for listening comprehension for next week. Oh, yeah, because there are two kind of dueling ones. And I need to kind of evaluate a little bit more, but you'll get a fun video to listen to with some questions connected with it. And I need to settle on which of the two I'm going to pick for the coming week. ¿Sí? Bien. Eso es, sí. Bueno. Okay. Vale, vale. And next week, we're probably going to go more into, your conversation is probably going to veer more into maybe going back into using some past ideas again. Okay. So a little bit of that, mixing the pretérito imperfecto a little bit more. Okay, whichever of the two I pick, you're probably going to use some more past ideas, so be a little bit prepared for that. But I'll give you some questions that you can frame around some conversation things for next week. Okay, ¿todo bien?
Yeah, sí.
Excelente. Bueno, espero que tengan muy buena semana. I hope you all have a really good week.
Me too.